All right, quick show of hands. Who here would like to be invited to the TED stage one day? For those of you who had your hands up, how many of you would be ready if you received that invitation tomorrow? You know, what would you do to prepare? I'm guessing a lot of people would Google it first. We kind of live in this ultimate age of how-tos. I mean, you could look up how to do almost anything on the internet. But even though there are step-by-step instructions on these articles, books, and blogs, many of them don't really tell you what to do if you aren't ready for that particular opportunity. So, whether you'd like to get a TED Talk or prepare yourself for any major opportunity in life, I believe that one of the best things that you can do is to learn how to make a good pitch. The first sponsorship proposal that I ever put together was at the age of 11. I was in the 7th grade. My friends and I had just put together a team to compete in our school's ultimate Frisbee contest. I'll be honest with you, we actually didn't need sponsors, but I thought it'd be really awesome if we were the only kids to show up with some. The only problem, of course, is that this is before the internet was widely used. I couldn't Google it. And the school library didn't have any books on the subject, so what did I do? Well, first, I made a list of everything that we wanted for our team. Then, I made a list of all the companies and organizations that I thought could provide those things. Clothing companies, local radio station, Frisbee companies, and that sort of thing. Then, I wrote and I mailed a letter to the corporate offices of each of those companies, and I eagerly waited. While I didn't get the cool custom jerseys that I was hoping for, I did get a valuable lesson about making an ask. You see, it was never about our team or what this company could do for us. It was all about what working together with our team meant for that company. In other words, I needed to treat it less like a sponsorship and more like a partnership. I needed to demonstrate the return on investment for them, something that I had failed to do. A couple years later, I was able to apply those same lessons. So as a junior in high school, I started the first ever school-wide Battle of the Bands. It was a huge event, and I needed the support of the entire community to pull it off. I mean, to give you an idea of this, I even had to recruit my friend's older brother, because at the age of 15, it turns out I wasn't legally able to sign those contracts with the professional security team that I had to hire, for all that audio equipment I was renting, or to pick up the box trucks that we needed to move all of the equipment. So to pull this off, I biked to every business in the area. But this time, I made a small change in my ask. So instead of going up to them and saying something like, "Hi, I'm from Monte Vista High School, and we're putting on a fundraiser. Will you donate something?" I instead said, "Hi, I'm from Monte Vista High School, and we're putting on an event that's going to promote and elevate local businesses. How would you like to be a part of the biggest concert in our school's history?" And then, whenever anyone said yes, I would immediately use that in my next ask, which immediately gave me more credibility, and I would have sponsorship commitment forms in hand ready to go for the moment that they said yes. The same kind of concepts that go into a sponsorship proposal are the same for any kind of ask that you make in life. It comes down to one thing, the pitch. So whether you want to get a TED Talk, you want to get that dream job, or you want to get a date for next Saturday night, it comes down to the pitch. But this is the part that a lot of people get wrong. See, they think the pitch is all about the style, how you ask. And while that is certainly important, I found that a really good pitch really comes down to 3 main parts. The first is that you simply have to ask. You got to take that initiative. So a question that I often get is, how did you get a TED Talk? Or sometimes, how did you get so many TED Talks? Well, the simple reality is I went on TED.com, the organization's website. I clicked on events. Then I contacted every single TEDx event in the world where I could communicate in their language, and I had an idea that fit their theme. The reality is it's not that sexy or dramatic, but every great achievement in life has been done with persistence and determination. Because nothing happens until you ask. Waiting and hoping for an opportunity doesn't actually get you that opportunity, no matter how passionate you are, no matter how hard you work. Until you ask, the answer is no. 2, in addition to making that ask, you have to have something of value to offer other people. So for those of you not familiar with my band, the Slants, let me tell you something that we are very passionate about. Food. I mean, like, seriously, we actually strategically book tour dates around places where we want to eat. And while we really did want to play Kansas City because a couple of fans were asking for it, the reality is that we played it because we wanted to hit up Oklahoma Joe's, which was on Anthony Bourdain's 13 Places to Eat Before You Die list, so come on. I noticed that photos and videos of food did really, really well on our social media. People are always asking us what we are eating. And so I also noticed that the food guides in our local city of Portland were kind of lacking, especially when it came to Asian food. You see, those reviews tended to be very centralized, and they focused on restaurants that didn't include the actual communities where this food was produced. So we decided to do something about it. We published our own Asian food eating guide for our city. And this time we highlighted our favorite restaurants in the communities that we cared about. So our ask this time was for people to support those businesses, and in return, we would give them some music. I used Yelp to help promote this, and I'd upload our reviews, and every time I would include a little link to our music where people could download some free songs. And we even printed up these little window clings that businesses could put up in the restaurants, bragging how that they were on the best of the best list of the Slants. These couple of efforts led to over 45,000 downloads of our music, turning many of our fellow foodies into fans. You know, the best thing of all, actually, was that I ended up getting a lot of free food everywhere I went. This was not something that I was expecting, but a definite perk. You know, we just wanted to show some love to some overlooked restaurants, and the community responded in kind. I believe when you give generously, it always comes back in these unexpected ways. In the world of TED, just like in any other kind of ask in life, it's about creating an equitable exchange. But for TED specifically, this value is an idea that's worth sharing. If your goal is to get on the TED stage, you've already missed the point. Let me reiterate that. If your goal is to get on the TED stage simply for yourself, then you're missing the mark. But if you have an incredible idea, one that you're uniquely qualified to share with others, then you've got something special. That's how we prepare for those big moments in our life, by giving to other people. You know, the world's greatest innovators aren't celebrated because they're major consumers. We admire them and we follow them because they give the world better stories, products, and ideas. I mean, think about it. We give all kinds of awards for people who write books, but none for people who read them. Prolific readers are only lifted up when they're able to give back to us somehow, either through literary analysis or perhaps providing some good recommendations. Now, the third part of the pitch has to do with you. Are you ready to receive what you're asking for? About 15 years ago, I was working with this touring punk rock band called the Stivs. It was a band that I really wanted to join, something that I did not exactly keep a secret. I helped them out every way that I could. I booked them shows. I flew out to festivals to photograph them. I introduced them to contacts that I knew. And I kept reiterating. I was like, you know what would make your band better? If I was in it. Well, one day, in the middle of their tour across the country, they called me and they said, hey, do you play drums? And I told them, well, I just started taking lessons a few weeks ago. I'm like, why? They're like, we kicked out our drummer, he's in Kansas City, and we're driving across the country. We want to pick you up and finish out the tour right now. It was a dream opportunity. It was the band that I really wanted to join. But here's the thing, no amount of passion, drive, or hard work would get me to play those drums well enough between the time it would take from a drive to California and get me. If they drove all the way across the country to hear me play, they would have been really disappointed, and I would have been disappointed in myself. You can't ask for opportunities that you aren't ready for. I told them I needed about 6 months. So during that 6 months, I kept taking drum lessons, I would practice, and so on. But at the end of that time, I knew that I wasn't quite ready. So when the call came again, I said, I'm sorry, I'm a bass player, I'm not a drummer. I can't do it right now. And so I had to turn it down, because it was an opportunity I wasn't ready for. But I continued to help them. I continued to try to give them that value by continuing to book them shows and help them out with contacts and that sort of thing. Then, in December of 2003, at 2 in the morning, they gave me a call again. This time they said, hey, do you want to move to Portland, Oregon as our bass player? I had a lot of excuses at my disposal. I was in my second to last term of finishing college with a double major on a full ride scholarship program. I was a vice president of a nonprofit, and I was running 2 businesses. All of my friends and family were around me. But I already knew the answer because it was one that I was prepared to say, yes. Now, while a lot of people would kind of think it was a stupid decision, especially when they learned the band broke up 2 years after I moved across the country, you know, the very act of preparing for that moment unlocked a new kind of drive within me, one that allowed me to start a new, successful band, without which I probably would not be here today giving you a TED Talk. Desire is not enough. Passion is not enough. Hard work isn't enough. You have to take initiative. You have to give generously to other people. And you have to prepare yourself for a moment where you can say yes. That's the pitch. And that's how you get a TED Talk. Thank you.